Estás viendo Canal América, televisión dominicana para el mundo.
A Time for True Show is sponsored by the Office of Dr. Bernard Fialkoff, a periodontal, dental implant and laser specialist in New York City, for over 40 years. Dr. Fialkoff was honored by the International College of Dentists and Pierre Fauchard, and received the Presidential Lifetime Humanitarian Honor from the White House. Call us at 718-229-3838.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your fears.
Welcome to A Time for Truth show. I'm your host, Dr. Bernard Fialkoff, and it's a pleasure to welcome you back with us again tonight. So in this world where we have so much technology and we have at times too much conflict, we're all searching for solutions. And sometimes we've lost our spirituality, and sometimes religion is a good thing and brings a little bit of fabric and structure to the society. And so tonight we have a very special guest, someone who has accomplished so much in his life, and we're going to share some of what he's done, because really his curriculum vitae is so extensive that we couldn't cover it all, so we'll give you an abbreviated portion which will be very extensive by itself. And Buddha, if you put his pictures up on the screen, we'll introduce our viewers to His Excellency Reverend Dr. Kiwi Kalloo, born on the island of Trinidad and Tobago and married to Anissa Kalloo. They both have a very beautiful family and migrated to the U.S., first to Florida, then to New York, and now currently in New Jersey. He has a deep insight into truths and revelations of the Word of God, and Dr. Kiwi speaks on the heart of God, worship, and speaks on the dynamics of life and the importance of religion in our lives. He brings forth the revolutionary word to the current generation on his belief and his religion with Christ and the nature of God. He was inducted as a chief governor with the Academy of Universal Global Peace USA, United Nations University for Global Peace USA, the American University for Global Peace, the Global Apostolic Diocese USA, and he was handpicked by His Eminence, Most Reverend Dr. Madhu Krishnan, to establish and promote global peace using religion around the globe. He is the founder and chairman of Nations United for Peace, Nations United University, One Nation Chapel, One Nation United University. And he had received his doctorate from the Academy of Universal Global Peace, United Nations University for Global Peace, under His Eminence, Dr. Madhu Krishnan. the founder and chairman of AUGPUSA. He was inducted into the board of the World Governing Council and directors representing AUGPUSA. AUGPUSA is recognized by the United Nations and the United States and the European Council across this wide world. Dr. Kiwi has been designated as the Chief Governor of AUGPUSA, UNUGPUSA, GADUSA, and so much more that we could go into, but we wouldn't have enough time to list all the accomplishments, all the leadership positions that he has been carrying. Unbelievably, he has time to be a musician. He's a singer, songwriter, aside from being an ordained pastor and minister of the gospel. He's author of The Baptism of Grace and has written over 40 books and several articles. Quite a man, quite a businessman, religious leader, entrepreneur, humanitarian, and presently owns and operates Atlas Consulting Brokerage as president and CEO, and also of Steel and Financial Consulting Company, and also owns and operates GCC Incorporated as its president, and Commercial Structural and Miscellaneous Steel Consulting Company, and Kiwi Steel. Really, we could go on and on, because as I was teasing him when I speak to him previously, I said, I think that they gave you a 48-hour day and you're living on a different time clock. He's quite a human being, spiritual leader, too many things to put into words, but let's bid a warm greeting as we greet him onto a Time for Truth show. Welcome, Doctor. It is amazing how much you've accomplished and how much you're doing.
Thank you, with much gratitude. Appreciate the opportunity to be here to share tonight. Really a blessing.
Well, thank you for taking the time. And I want to ask you something, Dr. Kalloo. When you were a young man, what were your dreams and your visions for your life?
When I was a very young man, I grew up in the island of Trinidad and Tobago. And at that point in my life, there was not much happening. But deep down in my spirit, I've always dreamt about being here in the United States of America. And I believe that God created the opportunity for me to be here, and so has allowed me to intervene and be part of people's lives and to build relationships. And I'm a builder by trade. I'm a master builder. And I believe that God has trained me in the area of building so that I can become a people builder.
Well, I can see from the different positions and leadership roles that you've taken that you command a lot of respect and loyalty from many, many different people, because you don't just get there by good fortune or good luck. So, you have quite a competence level. And so what I wanted to ask you, so our viewers really get a flavoring of your life. So when you came to the United States, how was this transformation for you?
I would say it was somewhat revealing. Not having much and just getting here. I believe, in few words, in just a few words, I can tell you it was a God's experience because I did not really dictate my path. It was made for me. And I've had the help and favor of a lot of people, good people that has come before me and helped me in this process. And see, I believe every one of us, we are a product of where we came from. And this is very important, I believe, to share with people to understand that when we get somewhere in life, it's not because we just somebody pressed a button or pressed a knob and we just happened. But it's a process of life. And in this process of life, we when we attain something, it's because grace was shown to us and people were kind to us. And those are some of the things that I hold dear to my heart, remembering the people that has played a very important role in my life so that I can grow and become somebody. So what I'm doing today, I call it being grateful to give back.
You know what? That's so important because in today's world, a lot of what you see is how to obtain, how to command, how to receive. And, you know, we're forgetting that in order to create, you have to put out, you have to produce, you have to imbue, you have to empower in order to have that come to life. So what you're saying is very true for me. And, you know, I don't know really where to start because you're in so many groups, but let's start first with your spirituality. I'm a very spiritual man, and I feel that spirituality really is the root of what we show in this universe. So tell us a little bit of how you decided to take on your spiritual and religious undertaking.
Well, as a young man, I came from a Muslim background. My mom and dad, they were Muslims, but not very religious or practicing religion. But was also born in a Muslim family. But we were not that religious. And I had a friend, and he used to come to my house almost every day. And every time he would come to my house, he would have one of those little New Testament books that was given out for free. Always walked with it in his back pocket. My friend, his name was Lau, and he still lives in Trinidad and Tobago. Always witnessing to me and telling me about Jesus, and I should give my life to Christ. And you know, I gave him a hard time, a really hard time. And this one day, he met me after school in one of the cities. It's called Cuba. And he asked me a question. He says, "When will you give your life to Christ?" And something happened in that instant. And I turned to him and I said, "Right now." And he looked at me and he said, "Did you hear what I asked you?" I said, "Yes, I did." I said, "Right now." He was so happy. He said, "Let's go eat some food." And the following day, I got baptized. And the rest is an experience that I would not trade anything for. I grew up in a time where racism, like what we see today, don't exist. It just did not exist. It was more like people were people. The neighbors looked out for each other. And you didn't have to worry about being robbed or being mugged or where you were going on the street. Anybody that would see you walking would stop and help you and assist you. And if you needed some water, they would give you some water to drink without saying, "That's $1." And those are the days that I remember when people were people. It wasn't like what we call in the dog eat dog mentality. It was more like we saw people as people. Just today, I was telling a gentleman that um, we relate to other people without prejudice. If you, as a white person, you get ripping off your skin or a cut, there's red blood. My background is my grandparents came from India. but I was born in the island of Trinidad and Tobago. And but I see people as people, and I believe that there's no one perfect man on the planet. So we are all imperfect, and therefore we need to show compassion to one another. One of the things that I do majorly in the program that I teach is I teach a lot about the principles of the Word of God, which is to love your neighbor as yourself. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. We've all made mistakes, and we all continue to make mistakes. The thing is, some of us, our mistakes might be more open than others. And we as human beings, we tend to judge people based on what we see in front of us. And sometimes situations can drive people to do things that they would not ordinarily do. For example, if you have a mom and she has 10 kids and her kids are crying and hungry and they don't have food, that mom would do everything within her power to feed her kids. For example, if there's a tree that bears mango right next to her, it does not belong to her, but her kids are crying because they're hungry. You can't blame her for taking a mango that does not belong to her to feed her kids. And somebody would see that and say, this lady is a thief. See? And we become judges. We start treating people as though they're not important, and things become more important than people. And that's one of the main things that drives me, because if we don't start being the change that we want to see by loving people and being compassionate and being merciful and being understanding, and if we don't talk about it and we're afraid to talk about it because we're going to lose friends, we're going to lose people around us, and we're going to become singled out. We're too afraid to lose our social gathering. See, and I've taken on that position where I'm not afraid to speak truth. I believe that no matter what happens, truth is important. Right? The Bible clearly states that it's the glory of God to conceal a matter. Conceal means to hide, to put it somewhere where other people cannot see it. But it's the honor of kings to search it out. And we have been called to be kings and priests unto God. And therefore, our intention should be to search it out. And how I describe that very easily is that, see, I got little kids. And when my kids want to play hide and seek, they go hide. I say, go hide, I'll come find you. But when they go hide, I hide myself and I say, come find me. So in the same way with God, when he hides a thing, meaning truth, the intent for us is that he don't hide himself because he don't want us to find him. He hides himself in such a way that he wants us to come and find him. And when we find him, there is such a great joy and and it's a celebration because we found our Father, we found our God. In today's society, we have a lot of people that want to be leaders, want to be fathers, but we got so many boy leaders and less of real true fathers that can father children, that can father people, that can lead people towards doing the right thing and being humane and considering humanity. I'm probably straying off on you, but go ahead.
No. I think you're hitting on something very important, and I like your analogy with the mother, with her children, and trying to take care of her children, because depending on how we look at life, changes that scenario, like you said, because the owner of that mango tree was looking at it as a resource for humanity. Obviously, it's his tree, but if he sees a woman with 2 kids and they don't have what to eat, then what would be really the humane thing to do would be to share with that mango tree, because in reality, the mango tree created the fruit. So is it his fruit or is it the mango tree? And the mango tree had to do that in concert with the soil and the sun and the water and the minerals. and I'm sure he had a gardener if he wasn't the gardener. And sometimes in life we forget how much coordination and collaboration there is to create life. So I thought your analogy was excellent, and I want to get to something because I think you're, and tell me if this is correct, that you're a leader with the indigenous people of the world. Is that true?
Yes, I've actually signed a global peace treaty with the Mexican Empire, with the Emperor for the Mexican Empire in Mexico, 67 tribes, 40 million people strong, and not just the Mexican Empire, but ICANN Nation and several different indigenous tribes, chiefs, prime ministers. And the reason for that is we signed a document that says that we are in great collaboration for global peace, that we do not want war. We don't want to fight. We want to talk. We want to understand. We want to celebrate each other. We want to celebrate our differences. We want to collaborate in resources so that we can help to build, nation can help to build other nation by collaboration versus fighting to take what you fight to take what I have, and I fight to take what you got because I want what you have and you want what I have. Why can't we collaborate and work towards trade and help to build each other? See, I believe that in today's society, we've become so watered down that people are not focused on how can I help my neighbor? How can I help others to become somebody or to live out their life with purpose and fulfillment? And that's where we lose everything. So the United Nations, which we are a part of, they have been focused, in my opinion, on connecting the major nations of the world for global peace and stop wars and all of that, and I commend them greatly. And I'm in support of that. I do support the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. However, when it comes down to the grassroots people, the indigenous nations, the people some consider to be somewhat forgotten or lost, nobody wants to bring them together, to join them together, although they have great resources and need help. So what we started doing is joining with these indigenous nations to help to bring them to a place where they can help their people, and we can assist in any which way we can. So yeah, the indigenous of the world, I believe that they're not a forgotten people, they're not a lost people, they are people. So
Absolutely. You know, at the sake of maybe being a little too simplistic, but sometimes I believe simplicity is very powerful because sometimes we ignore the simplicities of life and, you know, like needing air and water and food and love and very powerful things that without that there's no life. You know, I've always really looked very kindly and really with aspiration and looking up at living naturally. And if you really look at the indigenous way with a natural spirituality, incorporating really the whole environment, the animals, the water, and you look at what we're suffering from in the world, what are we suffering from? We're suffering from an ignorance of that and going away from that. We're suffering from pollution of our air, of our water, toxicity. Certain species are dying off from a lack of harmony. We have conflict in the world, and we look and we're searching and regulating and having conventions and meetings, when really, if we go back to simplicity of leading a natural life, and you know, which I feel that in really what I've seen of indigenous people worldwide is that they had done, and you know, maybe they did fall prey to, unfortunately, the mechanized or technological or less spiritual, less environmentally, you know, aware groups, which I obviously was a part of, but I could recognize that. How do you feel about what I just said?
Well, I'm in total support of that, and I'm going to tell you, there might be a considered to be a lesser of a people. They are not lesser of a people. They have so many resources and even technologies that the modern world has failed to recognize.
Right.
When I first came into interaction with the indigenous people, I met with the Prime Minister for the ICANN Nation, Chief Bigup, and we started collaborating and bringing several tribes onto our program, our online program, where we teach on Zoom, and sometimes we have 50 people, sometimes 150 people. And we started teaching. I teach heavily on leadership. And what I teach about leadership is that in order to lead people, it does not mean running in front of them. It does not mean standing behind and pushing them. It simply means serving the people. If we are to lead people, we got to believe in them. We got to show them understanding. We got to be very mindful of their situation. So, in our style of leadership that we teach, in, if I can explain it very short, is that we teach servant leadership. And in conjunction with that, we have a program where we teach, train, and certify chaplains, teaching the chaplains about pastoral care, how to care for the people. When they go through situations, they might be sick and they need someone to counsel with. They just need someone that they can talk with. How do we do that? How do we listen to them? We teach on that. We also, in the chaplaincy, we cover um, how to interact with the community, the people that are in need, how to work along with the police department, how to work along with the fire department, with the EMS. And when you have a disaster, what do you do? How do you help? How do you assist? So we teach and train our chaplains how to work along with the law enforcement. And on top of that, we teach disaster management, especially when you have like hurricanes like in Florida, even when it's cold and you have these nor'easters and different things when people are in need. How do you help them? What are some of the things that we can do? And then we also, in addition to that, we teach on global peace. When we have conflicts, how do we resolve conflicts? Well, I believe we don't try to go out into another nation and figure out how to resolve conflict. We always have conflict every day. No two person are ever going to agree on everything. But conflict starts in the home. And we need to start understanding how to work along with our wives and husbands and children and family within the home. And when you can get it going in the home, you step out of your house into the community and start assisting people with the conflict by listening to both sides, and don't judge and don't start taking sides, but stand there and believe on both parts and try to see what one is seeing and what the other is seeing, and intervene in that and try to bridge the gap to help bridge that gap to resolve the conflicts. We
Dr.
also teach on the
Kiwi,
global peace.
you know what? I couldn't agree with you more. And I think you brought it back again to the basic, and with the family, and with compassion, with love. And I think you and I could go all night. Unfortunately, the show has run out of time. We'll have to, see if we can get more time next time. We'll have to have another show, but it's been a pleasure having you. Thank you for being on the show.
Well, I certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And what I was going to tell you, I offer you with your groups, we'll offer you this program of the drug-free world to go along with yours. And let's bring compassion, understanding. Let's keep our kids healthy, well, and let's get our families well. And thank you for being on the show. And for those of you watching, let's heed the words, of Dr. Kalloo. Let's show compassion to each other. Let's respect each other. Let's make this a better world. See you again on the next episode of A Time for Truth show.
This show was sponsored by A Time for Truth Foundation Incorporated as a community service.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got. The world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your feet